This is Weather Authority Weekday.
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. Weather Authority Weekday continues. It's our Monday edition, and the big story today, we've been talking about the very cold temperatures across our area. Now, not everyone was significantly cold this morning. In fact, generally south and east of the metro, right along I-95 in St. Johns County, temperatures were generally in the 40s this morning and 50s. But north and west of the metro, temperatures certainly have fallen. In fact, look at our low temperature report since midnight, and many spots into Georgia. 29 this morning in Waycross, 32 in McClenny, 32 in Lake City, Brunswick 34 degrees, 33 in St. Mary's, Orange Park at 40 this morning, and Palatka 44 degrees. Now, we had the wind as well, so that introduced that wind chill, which is a measure, once again, of what the air temperature feels like to our skin with the wind factored in. And that was generally in the teens and 20s for a large part of our area as well. And certainly tracking the colder temperatures now, but it's been very windy. So we had that front cross our area yesterday, and that's what brought the breeze yesterday afternoon. And we're still looking at the wind, some clouds overhead as well as we're looking live from Julington Creek. You can see the boats kind of moving up and down there, indicating some of that stronger wind. We have a temperature there of 50 degrees, and we have a northeasterly wind sustained at 19 miles per hour. Jacksonville International, another good example. This is an elevated camera, and you see it moving back and forth there. So that is showing how windy it is. And the temperature at the airport there, 45 degrees, and that northerly wind is sustained around 15 miles per hour. So a live look here, Mayport, another good example. You can see the JAGS flag right there, and that is showing that it is another very breezy start, and that's behind that front, and that means cooler air is moving into our area. Temperature in Mayport generally right around 50 degrees or so. Now, the setup that we have overhead, we are tracking an area of high pressure. That front is at the bottom right of your screen. So as of this morning, it has cleared our area. We have high pressure. That's a frigid Arctic area of high pressure moving in, and that has allowed the cold to be around. In fact, look at some of these numbers. So we're at 36 in Waycross. We started out below freezing there. 39 in Brunswick, St. Mary's right around 40. 45 at Jacksonville International. McClenny 46 degrees. 41 in Lake City, and then generally south and east of the metro, it has been a bit warmer out there. Mayport's at 50, 53 in St. Augustine, courtesy of the influence of the warmer water. That's why many spots there were warmer. In St. Johns County over to Clay and Putnam counties as well. Palatka were right around 54 degrees. So we range anywhere from 36 to about 54, so almost a 20-degree spread in our temperature across our area. Now, when we factor in the wind, again, we're getting that northeasterly flow, keeping the colder temperatures around, and that is allowing for, once again, chilly weather to move in, and that will be overhead as we head through the rest of the day. Eventually, the breeze will ease up tonight, but still looking at gusts up to 30 miles per hour, and we even saw some gusts some of the areas along the coast there in St. Johns County, also over to Duval County along the coast, of gusts of 40 miles per hour or more. And that was recorded mainly yesterday into the morning hours. And that's why it felt so cold out there this morning. Now, the wind chill, this is as of 11 o'clock. And we are improving, although look at Waycross. It still feels like 28 degrees out there. 40 in McClenny, feeling like 33 in Lake City. So the wind chill is everything. Does not take a significant amount of wind to make temperatures feel much colder than they actually are. And then even over to Brunswick, still feeling like 32. And then most of our Florida zones south and east of Jacksonville, feeling like the 40s and 50s across our area. Now, you might be wondering with our wind chill, well, what does that mean? Well, remember, when we have a calm wind, our normal body heat is closer to our body, of course, when the wind is calm. So the layer of heat generated by our bodies keeps us warm. But when we introduce that wind, well, the body heat escapes as the wind picks up, and that pushes the layer of heat away from our bodies. And that's why it feels colder to our skin when we go outside. And that's why, of course, we always say dress in multiple layers. In terms of our safety tips, you want to limit time outdoors. Now, fortunately for tonight's temperatures, it will be cold, but we're not expecting a significant wind chill like we saw this morning for many locations. Hypothermia, of course, and frostbite can occur in minutes, and cover exposed skin if you must go outside. Now, the dropping temperatures and bitter cold aren't only uncomfortable, the winter weather can also be dangerous and even deadly. So in today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither reminds us how to stay safe in cold conditions.
When the temperature falls, the danger rises. In 2023, more than 1,000 deaths in the U.S. were due to excessive cold or hypothermia. And in the months ahead, experts are urging everyone to stay safe.
Winter weather can be extremely dangerous in so many ways.
The American Red Cross says if you do go out in extremely cold weather, wear layers of loose clothing and a coat, hat, mittens, and water-resistant boots. Using a scarf to cover your face and mouth can also help. And inside, if you use a space heater or fireplace, keep anything that could catch fire at least 3 feet away from the heat. And to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, don't use an oven to warm your home and only use generators outdoors.
This past year, the Red Cross has responded to more than 48,000 home fires. And this time of year in particular, a lot of that is caused because people are just trying to stay warm.
You should also know signs of potentially deadly hypothermia, including shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. When it comes to frostbite, symptoms can include a white or grayish yellow skin area, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, and numbness.
Make sure to get out of the cold immediately and to seek medical attention urgently.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, that certainly looks cold over there, doesn't it? And great tips there. Now, thankfully for tonight, once again, frostbite is not a concern because we are looking at least a significant wind chill, and that is when you get the wind making temperatures feel much colder. So great tips there. Of course, we'll keep that in mind, and next time we get our very cold temperatures overhead. In terms of our forecast for the rest of the day, so let's head into the afternoon. Some of us actually are seeing more sunshine, especially into St. Johns, Clay, and Putnam counties. North, though, into Duval County and points north, we've had some low-level, what we call stratus, those blanket-looking clouds over us. So likely will remain fairly cloudy over the next couple of hours, but eventually sunshine returns. We'll see temperatures top out near 50, although high temperatures today will vary greatly based on your location. Just like we saw this morning, areas in Georgia will be in the mid to upper 40s. That's about all for the day today. Near 50 in Jacksonville, Mayport as well. And then as you head south, we're looking at highs in the mid to even upper 50s. And with a little bit more sunshine, some spots will be very close to 60. So Palaca, for example, we're at 57 today, 57 in St. Augustine, Green Cove Springs, low 50s, as well as Orange Park, but again, much cooler the more north you are there in our viewing area. So we are tracking a chillier day, average highs in the 60s, and most of us, we are below that across our area. Now, Futurecast is showing into tonight. We'll see more clouds develop, and we'll see if we're as cloudy as this is showing. But for the most part, because of that for tonight and the potential for temperatures to drop, freeze warning is in effect. So you can see those areas including Nassau County, points to the north and west there into Georgia where the chilliest of the air will be. And that is for temperatures to drop into the 20s to right around 30 degrees. So if you have any outdoor plants, make sure to take protective measures like you did last night because we are watching that potential once again for another freeze. Now look at some of these numbers. 25 in Waycross. How about that? 32 in Brunswick tonight, 36 in St. Mary's. McClenny 31 for tonight. Lake City low 30s as well. And then just like we saw last night and for tonight, areas south and east of the metro were warming up closer to the coast, mainly along and east of 95. Temperatures will likely bottom out in the 40s to right around 50 degrees. So anywhere from 25 to about 50 across our area. So make sure to bundle up as you head out in the morning. Use some of those tips that we just showed you, as it will be a very cold start to our day on Tuesday. But we don't have a cold weather advisory in effect. The wind is not expected to be as strong as what it was this morning, so I'm really not expecting a significant wind chill. But we are tracking a warming trend as we head into the last week of fall. Hard to believe. Winter, by the way, begins Sunday. It's not going to feel like it later this week, as temperatures generally will be in the 60s for tomorrow. Upper 50s in Waycross and Brunswick. and then 60s for the rest of our area with a mid to upper 60s likely, especially south of Jacksonville where some warmer weather will be. But it should be a nice day overall with some sunshine to get outside and enjoy. We're expecting plenty of sunshine throughout the day on Tuesday. So if you are heading out, again, no issues with our weather. Futurecast verifies, you can see throughout the day, we are tracking some sun mixing in with some clouds. Not expecting any rain. We certainly could use some rain as we're still in a drought. Remember, we really haven't talked about that, or at least I haven't over the past couple of days because the cold has been the big story. But again, our drought is a big story as well, as some of us are still over 10 inches in deficit for the year. The year, of course, is coming to an end, so our time or window is limited, and that means we're starting out the new year with a deficit as well. So we'll be waiting for some rain. Not seeing any significant rain across our area over the upcoming week. Clouds and radar shows, though, that we are looking at that area of high pressure. That starts to shift offshore by Wednesday, bringing a southerly wind. And what that means is warmer weather is on the way. Another storm system will start to develop by Thursday, and that's in association with a front, but we're not expecting any significant rain. In fact, look at that. Most of the rain will fall apart before getting to our area here in northeast Florida and southeast Georgia. So a relatively dry passage, but it looks like temperatures may try to drop just a little bit more later in the weekend. We'll keep an eye on that. It depends on the timing of the front and the placement of the coldest air, but then it looks like by the weekend, high pressure will settle back in, and we are looking at least more sunshine over our region. Let's break down your 7-day forecast because a lot of change here over the next couple of days. So we're looking at temperatures for the day today near 50 degrees. Now it is a bit breezy, but the wind will die down overnight into Tuesday. Temperatures for some of us, once again, where we saw that freeze this morning, will drop back into the 20s and 30s. So we do have that freeze warning again to account for that. By Tuesday, we're looking at highs in the low 60s. More clouds try to move in by Wednesday and Thursday with an onshore wind, but temperatures will be on the way up. We're looking at highs back in the low to even mid 70s across our area. And then as we head through the end of the week into the weekend, we are looking at those temperatures back into the 70s, even mid to even upper 70s likely by the upcoming weekend with overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. So how about that? We're tracking warmer weather, and by the way, winter begins on Sunday. So we'll see if we get any real cold in here by next week. We certainly saw a fair share of cold today, but again, that is limited across our area. Now, what about across the nation? I'll break down the national forecast coming up in just a few minutes. But for now, we'll head to break, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. Let's continue our Weather Authority weekday show. So we talked about our local weather with the cold and certainly the moderation in temperature, but really can't complain about the cold significantly in Florida because look at temperatures across the country. Yeah, it is frigid out there. Look across the Midwest into the upper plains. Temperatures are generally in the teens, but it feels like the single digits. 18 in Minneapolis right now, 12 in Chicago, 16 over there across Detroit. Pittsburgh is at 12. So again, here in Florida, we certainly saw our share of cold, but not to the extent for areas to our north. And when you factor in the wind chill, look at some of those temperatures. It actually feels like it's 2 below in Chicago and Detroit, 1 below in Pittsburgh. Other areas in interior northern New England feeling like these single digits, if not below zero. Florida, for example, Jacksonville feels like 40. Tampa feels like 60. So we're basically the warmer part of the country right now with those temperatures. By the way, if you look at Chicago's number 2 below, remember they had a football game this weekend. And of course, one of the coldest games there in history, but the Bears still announced that about 54,000 people, how about that, in the cold showed up despite these dangerously cold temperatures. Here's the latest from Chicago.
Bears fans braving through dangerously cold temperatures today at Soldier Field.
This is Bears weather, man. I come to every game like this. If they tell me it's going to be cold, I buy the tickets right away. This is what I want to be out here doing.
As wind chills dip below zero today, fans still pulled up bright and early for their tailgates, doing everything they could to stay warm.
We got a propane heater, we got the food, we got the booze keeping us warm, and you just got to dress a little bit warm. And
I don't know. There's probably 15 articles of clothing on me right now, and I'm perfectly warm.
This is nothing new. It's something we're used to. This is easy. Honestly, I'm wearing too much. I'm a little too hot right now.
The Bears had roving medical teams throughout the stadium, as well as 4 warming shelters in different areas to keep fans safe. Those fans say the sunshine did help out a bit today, as well as the Bears sending them home happy with a win.
The sun was on us at the start, so we got the nice warmth, and then it set, and then you really had to kind of keep yourself going. But, you know, we were scoring touchdowns, we were making plays.
Yeah, very cold there. How about that across the area there in Chicago? The Bears did win the game. They beat the Browns, but certainly colder weather around in many games across our northern part of our country. You had those temperatures in the single digits, feeling like the at least below zero values. So how about that? But again, the wind chill is noticeable to our north, where frigid air is moving in from Canada. That's an Arctic front that moved across our area. By the way, you may be wondering our temperature setup for the day today. So there's a dip in the jet stream across the eastern part of the country. Now, as that happens, the jet stream will rise across the western part of the country. So there's a ridge, that's the term that we call it, across the west coast, and that means warmer temperatures from portions of Arizona. They actually set their record high yesterday in Phoenix, but that goes all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, and then across the eastern part of the country where we have that dip in the jet stream, that allows for widespread below normal temperatures in the east. In fact, I want to show you New Jersey got some snow yesterday, and we had snowy conditions that blanketed New Jersey. The cleanup could take some time as 3 to even 5 inches of snow fell, and that's courtesy of those below normal temperatures in that system. Look at that. It looks like the dog's enjoying it, right? Not so much about the human, of course, with those chillier weather, with the snow falling. I've certainly been in scenes like that numerous times, and sometimes the snow, when it gets so cold, it just pelts your face. So certainly very snowy there in New Jersey. Many other locations across the Northeast received snow, and that's courtesy of that dip once again and the jet stream across the Northeast. And that dip allows some cooler temperatures to also move into Florida. But again, the West Coast across the country certainly seeing some of those warmer values there with that rise in the jet stream. Now, in terms of our snow potential, as I mentioned, we had some snow in New Jersey, but we're looking at the chance for snow showers to be around generally near and north of the system track. And that system will bring more snow to New England, also the upper mid-Atlantic, as the upper levels jet stream is to the north. It's dipping down there. Now, across the west, we've been talking about this, and we have the rain potential increasing as we do have that atmospheric river setting up across portions of the Pacific Northwest. And now you can't rule out the chance for flooding again with higher rain rates. By the way, in Washington State, a house floated down the river following days of intense rain and catastrophic flooding. Look at how amazing that shot is, just to see the power of Mother Nature. It can wipe away a structure very quickly. Remember, in those floodwaters, the force is great. There's a lot of water moving at you, and that's why we always tell you, do not drive over roads covered in water. Don't attempt to go in the water like that, because the current is so strong, and it does not take a significant amount of force to move a structure. So that's there in Washington State with some of that heavy rain falling. And again, we're dealing with that deeper Pacific moisture, and that is allowing for more rain to fall after feet of rain has fallen for some of us there in the Northwest. Our setup as we head into tomorrow, the morning, a system will be moving, and that's going to allow ongoing rain and mountain snow. Where mountain snow, some of the totals have been over a foot or more. And then as we head into the afternoon tomorrow, we'll notice the second system continues, the chance for rain and snow across the Pacific Northwest, and some of that snow will continue to push east. By the way, in Iowa, we had a multi-vehicle crash that involved dozens of vehicles there in Iowa. Look at some of these road conditions, and even tractor trailers as well. That closed portions of I-80 Saturday morning west of the Quad Cities. And that's why, again, in snow, of course, thankfully we don't deal with that in Florida. It's very rare to see that. But you want to allow more of a following distance and pump the brakes if you do get into any ice or snow. But that's a pretty serious crash there. You can see that closed the highway. Just an indication, once again, of in those winter storms, you definitely want to stay indoors across the area there. But once again, we're dealing with some of that snow across the Northwest. Across the east, we're continuing to track below normal temperatures, although here in Florida, it looks like we'll be closer to normal In Jacksonville, as I mentioned, our average is generally in the mid to even upper 60s, and we are looking at the temperatures to generally be into the mid to upper 60s. But across the East Coast, a bit chillier across North Carolina up into New England as that jet stream still dips. And our setup as we look ahead to the next 2 days, we are looking at a system departing the eastern United States. So once again, that's what brought that rain and even snow to the northwest. You'll see the general track of this system staying over the northern part of the country. And then as we head into the day on Tuesday, another system could bring some snow to portions of the northeast and the northwest as several areas of low pressure move into the area as we head into the next, we'll say, couple of days. Here in Florida, we look relatively dry across our region as we're expected to see above normal temperatures as we head into the end of the month. In fact, as we head into the holidays through New Year, we are looking at, for New Year's Eve and day, perhaps some warmer weather across Florida as we see a rise in that jet stream over the eastern part of the country. By the way, I do want to show you some photos sent in online to WJXT. Great photos here. Take a look at this. Some of our poinsettias there. Gorgeous looking flowers there. And that was a photo sent in, so great to see that. Our next photo that we have, this is from the Dames Point Bridge. Look at that gorgeous sunrise. Looks like a postcard or a painting, doesn't it? When you get the clear sky and you look to the east, remember the sun rises in the east. We are looking at certainly a beautiful shot there from the Dames Point Bridge. That was sent in by Captain Tom. And then we also have another photo here. And how about this? This is Maui. Look at the sitting in front of some Christmas decorations there. Great looking shot there. And our next photo that we have, and this is looking at the Grinch wreath. Look at that. And that was sent in by Jacqueline, and certainly tracking some of the mischief from the Grinch there. Great looking shot there. We always love to see your photos. You can submit them online on news4jax.com. Of course, any weather photos you see, if you see any frost or anything like that, anything notable, send them in, and you could be featured on the stream as well. And certainly great photos there. So pretty active system that we've been tracking. Of course, we've talked about a lot today weather-wise on the Weather Authority Weekday Show. We talk about our cold. We spoke about as well the threats with the cold and some tips to really escape the cold with some of the clothing tips, and also what to do around the house. For example, letting the water drip so the pipes don't freeze. And then we also talked about our national weather. So a lot to talk about here across the United States. We'll, of course, have the latest forecast coming up today at noon and all through the afternoon. And as always, you can get the latest information on our weather app and also on our streaming channels. So great information there. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with the latest information with our Weather Authority Weekday Show. But for now, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday.
See why every day more people are choosing News4JAX, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.